Hello everyone, Scott here from the Pillow Talk podcast. Delighted to have a in-person guest today. I am joined with the beautiful Gillian McCluskie from GM Luxury Home Staging. And I've roped her in today. Didn't realise we were going live.
No, did not
So
get
guys,
that.
you can ask any questions. So we're going to discover a little bit about Gillian, our business. We're going to add some value, tell you all about property staging, for selling, for serviced accommodation, for renting, give you some tips as young entrepreneurs looking to get into business. It's going to be an amazing episode. So welcome, Gillian. Now, I'm not going to introduce yourself and your background.
Okay.
I'll pass over to you a few short minutes and just tell us about yourself and your business.
Okay, thank you very much. Gillian McCluskie, obviously. I'm owner of GM Luxury Home Staging, as Scott has said. We are based in Lanarkshire. We're covering all of Scotland and recently ventured over to Portugal, which we are working on a fabulous villa. So look, keep your eye out in the socials for that. I'm going to be promoting that for my client. Our services are stage for sale and service accommodation, furniture and furnishing packs, and pretty much just love to, a bit like you, Scott, have our clients having a hands-off, stress-free process.
Perfect. Well, being in the service accommodation property industry, I know what staging is. I know the benefits of it. But for any viewers there, Gillian, give a little overview of what staging is and what you do for clients.
Well, staging for sale for clients, for that is a 6-week rental of all furniture and furnishings. The team provide all of that. We come to the property, we set it all up, stage it all, so that then we create that emotional connection with the possible buyers, creating that flurry of offers and, and hungry to buy that and make it their own. It's a 6-week rental, as I said. It can be extended, and that is, just working with the client, whatever works for them. That's fine, and then we'll come in after that and then remove all, and that will be that contract finished. With regards to service accommodation, that is basically everything is purchased and delivered and installed, all the rubbish and everything taken away from that. Staged and everything from a smart TV to a knife and fork, fire safety, white goods, anything at all that the client requires, then we are more than happy to install it. And then that is then the client's furniture and furnishings for forever.
Fantastic. So I see lots of cool things online. When we're marketing properties, I always talk about the wow picture.
Yeah.
Young kids, I don't know if they're millennials or Gen X or what. I don't know what they're called these days because I'm too old. I'm beyond all that. But you've got seconds to capture somebody's attention. And go back to staging for sale. Again, the investment. Some people have already moved out their houses, and I can tell you, having an estate agency, and had one since 2008, I think we started doing estate agency, selling a beautiful furnished house, not just for the pictures, but in person, setting the scene, is beneficial. So staging for sale, I see lots of case studies, and some big statistics of, we couldn't sell this property empty, but then we got a professional stager in like yourself, and it can be sold straight away. Do you have some success stories?
Absolutely. I mean, I was working with a client and a property had been on the market for some time. We had went in, the team went in, staged the property, and actually she achieved 37% over the home report. So I know that, when you are paying for everything to sell your house, and I know that it can be costly, totally understand that, and you may think of it as an expense to stage your property, but I would advise it's an investment. I mean, personally, when I was buying my own house, I didn't go to the show home and ask for the empty property keys. We all like to go in and see something that's staged and ready, and then you experience the size of the rooms and what else you can do with it, and it helps people who can't visualize. More online traffic, if you're on Rightmove, you always scroll past the empty ones,
definitely,
and like you say, just capture their eye.
There was a thing, and it was one of the training modules for our property managers. And when we are looking at hosts, and we'll come to serviced accommodation, a lot of the viewers here will be serviced accommodation hosts are interested, but when we are looking at properties that would be potentials, ex-buy-to-lets, people buying, and we look at it from a marketing point of view of saying, right, how would somebody use this space? You said people don't have imagination, but for us, when we are advising hosts, when we don't do staging at all, but we always pass business over, being able to see that space for a holiday, for a short-term rental visit is super important, because people cut them out. They've just done it. They do what they want, and that's the problem with their furniture. And I think MD that has their house probably doesn't have it kitted out, furnished, laid out, isn't setting the scene for their potential target market. Because if we've been in a house for 10 years, there tends to be rubbish everywhere, and it suits our particular needs. But with anything, especially in the holiday home market, but finalising sales, you're going in and not staging the way they want it. You're staging it how you would believe, or the decision between the two of you, the seller and you, of what the target market would work for.
Yeah, because it really depends, where the property is. If it's in the West End of Glasgow or the student areas, then you're more of you're trying to create that student vibe. Or if it's, a big 5-bed detached or something like that, it's more of going to be then a family home, to create that warmth and, and calming environment. So you just need to work with your client, work with the property. There isn't really one size fits all. You go into the property, you get a feel for it, you work with the client, and then you produce what's going to achieve the best results for them. Happy clients are always happy. We're happy as well.
Not to get sexist here, but guys tend to be really bad, and I'll use my experience at furnishing, staging, a little bit of interior design. Having that eye, like photographers, just seeing something and looking at things totally different and capturing how a room would look. People can be professionals, they can be millionaires, but I think there must be a skill to being a stager. Not everybody could be a stager if you don't have that eye or that thing.
Yeah, I do know guys that are very, very, really good with interiors, to be honest. But
hetero guys?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. They're fine.
Not at all.
They've got a good eye. But I do feel, listen, we all can be who we want to be. It doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't really matter. But it does tend to be more on the female side that there is the most stagers. But yeah, it's
male or female, you need an eye for it. And I definitely don't.
And the funny thing is as well, and not being sexist either, but when you're staging your property, you're kind of aiming for the woman to fall in love with it. Because then you guys just do what you're told for an easy life. Let's be honest, ladies. That's usually what happens.
It is. It was an interesting thing. A few of our competitors rebranded many years ago in the estate agency side, and they made everything pink with love hearts. But I looked into it, the branding, not the property, the business branding. But it turns out in sales, I think 70% of the decision to choose an estate agent was females. Hence, they made the right decision to brand it towards a female way. Who do you normally deal with when you're doing stagings for sale? And we'll move on.
For clients? I work with several estate agents. The fabulous Jane Buchan, obviously, is a really good client of mine. Worked with a few of the Keller Williams agents. I've worked with estate agents from Residence. So there is a few out there. And also people who have came to me that are selling their own home and looking for that, it needs a little bit of a maybe not the full thing. So it's good to just go up and also have that conversation with them. But estate agents are fabulous, and people who are looking to sell.
Landlords are notoriously tight and don't want to spend money, and I'll stand by that. That statement. I was a bad landlord because I'd spent money and lost money every month for looking after. Hence why I sold the property, because I never made money. But landlords could take a little bit of convincing. Again, for me, and this is a question for me, I always try to convince serviced accommodation operators, don't furnish it yourself. Don't start going and getting furniture from charity shops in your grand's old chest of drawers and your neighbour's broken wardrobe. What's a nice sentence for me and the Pillow team and anybody for managing agents to say to somebody, listen, it's worth the money. is worth spending the money? What's a phrase we could say?
I mean, I suppose what you need to always have in the forefront of your mind is, would you stay in the place that you are going to be renting out to your client? I have been in a couple of harem scarum essays, one in particular in New York, which I'd booked for the full week and left after the first night. So I think for me, and that I would encourage other people, just think of, how would you feel in that property? You know, does it have everything that you need? Would you stay in it? Because that is how myself and the team work. You know, we want to create that home from home feel, especially, you know, there's contractors there that maybe have long-term bookings, and you want them to come home and just feel, you know, kick the shoes off and just relax. And that's really the feeling that we want. Just, you know, come in, kick your shoes off, and you're comfortable and you're cozy and warm.
Definitely. So moving into serviced accommodation, that's our bread and butter, and it's where we work with stagers a lot across the UK. So moving into the SA market, you'd mentioned contractors, and if I'm breaking properties and then the demographics of guests into three categories, we would go for the contractors in the middle. People sharing can be buzz. It doesn't need to be super high end for a lot. Corporate lets at the other end of the spectrum, probably executive style, high end, expensive stuff, quality stuff. And then the big bread and butter for us is the tourism leisure market. So different types of market there. I always say to our hosts, and it's part of our training with the team, when I'm training our franchisees and property managers, convince landlords or persuade landlords not to do it themselves. Because I think I want to talk about timescales. You can tell me how long it takes you, but I know if someone comes and says, "Oh, Scott, don't worry, I'll do it myself. I'm not paying a stager, or I'll do this." I know that by the time they take into consideration their full-time job, their family, taking their kids to events, things that happen, nights out, it probably takes 6 weeks longer. I know I'll get it done. When are you going to get it done, Mr. Host? Because if it's 24 hours worth of work, more than that, because they need to source the furniture, that 24 hours doesn't get done in 24 hours. It gets done in a few hours here, 2 hours there. And very, very easily I explain to SA hosts, for any money you're spending for a stager to do it, who can probably get bulk cheaper stuff anyway, so you're not spending much more money than what you would spend yourself, excluding the time. You're going to add 6 weeks to that, and the money that you're losing on the SA rental income is more than what you'd ever pay an SA stager. So time scale wise, if I'm like, right, okay, if an owner's here and say, I want to get Gillian, what's the time scale for getting a stager in to walking out with professional photos?
Well, to getting the pictures all kitted out, roughly, I mean, we have did ones within 5 days. We've also did it, 10 days. Really just depends what the client's looking for. We've got a lot of connections with our suppliers, and they know the demand is high. So yeah, it's just a case of get in quickly. I would advise don't do it yourself, because I know it's very time consuming. It's not an easy gig. 100%. It's not all karate chop and cushions and the logistics of, getting all the furniture and the furnishings and doing all the design and everything else. It is a hard job. So yeah, I would say 5 days.
That's the lead up time.
Yeah.
But if I give you the keys tomorrow, you guys are in and out in 24 40 hours.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this. If you're looking to set up, let's say, a holiday cottage or a serviced apartment in the city, I want you to think, if you could get Gillian and back and forth, a week of chatting to get the right products, agree, get the contract signed. But imagine giving Gillian your keys and she drops them off the next day and your property's kitted out. I know that people will order stuff, because I did it when I first started Pillow many years ago. I like to do everything, so I'd order stuff from IKEA, and we don't put IKEA. No. Get the nice classic saying: get IKEA furniture, get IKEA guests. Maybe you want IKEA guests, but the good chance you don't. So I've done it, and think everything will arrive in the one day. I've got my IKEA, I've got my Argos, I've got the Wilkinsons for the cleaning materials and the Hoovers. Deliveries don't turn up things don't go, then I'll tell you what, guys, it turns out that it takes more than a day to build furniture and flat pack stuff.
Building is definitely, yeah.
So you're building it all probably in advance and setting it all up. Fantastic. I wrote down sofa beds because when we are using companies like yourself, I also say, how much for a sofa bed? I could go to IKEA and get one for £119. Sofa beds that you get cheap are not what we would call hotel quality, meaning they're occasional. So if somebody buys a cheap sofa bed, you're going to be supplying them something that is essentially suitable for contractors to sleep on a lot of the time.
Again, would you sleep in a sofa bed that was £119 that you aren't going to have a good sleep? So it's really, really important that you get the stuff that's very sturdy, very comfortable, so that they have the best thing you can do. Make sure you get good beds, good sofa beds for a good night's sleep. You need good showers and you need good Wi-Fi.
Perfect. Again, if you did not have a bed but had good Wi-Fi, some people would be happy on that. Renting or buying. So if we're going back to serviced accommodation, for staging for sale, you're renting it for 6 weeks. Done. People have a decision when they're launching essays. Now, it's sometimes easier to buy if you've bought a 3-bed holiday cottage with a hot tub, classic holiday home investment, or a serviced apartment, and you've bought it, it's yours, you own it, and you're building, you're using that for 5 years plus, a long-term investment strategy. You may buy the furniture just because, hey, it's there, done and dusted, you don't need credit. But for cash flow purposes, and some of these big things would be 10 grand plus, so I don't know, 5 to 10 grand for this. Some people, we advise, you may want to get some leasing it, because if you're going to do rent to rent strategies, guys, you don't want to be throwing 5 grand at every rent to rent deal. Why? Well, you're going to have some rent, some deposits, maybe a sourcing fee, other setup costs. So you do not want to be churning through cash flow by paying 5 grand, maybe more, and probably more for each new unit. So we can lease it, and that's a smart way to do it. One, it's tax efficient, and then rather than paying 5 grand, you're 150, 200 quid a month. 200
quid. Again, it just depends what the size of the property is and what it is they're needing. Every client is different, so it's just a case of working with them, seeing what it is they're looking for, working with their budget and the timescales, and then just work out from there.
Perfect, guys. I meant to say we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you have any questions and you're watching this, please bang them in for Gillian, an expert in staging. And if you guys are thinking of ever needing this, please pop your questions in, and hopefully the team will pop them up, and I'll put them on screen. So, and guys, if you're not watching live and you're watching this in replay, we'll put Gillian's contact details here, and so we'll follow up, and we'll do a follow up with this with all the questions. So I want to move on to a bit of fun. What current projects have you got going? Because we've seen this, it's churning, buy to let, rent to rent properties, very similar projects but with different furnishings. But what's some fun stuff you're working on?
The fun stuff, this week we have a 2-bed essay in Paisley that we'll be completing by the end of the week. But a very funky property that we are recently, a client flew myself over to Portugal to see his villa. It's needing a bit of restyling. It's been rented out for some time. The items are tired, and it's just needing really restyled and some new products there. So that is in Portugal, in Lagos.
Nice.
And I have to say, I've had wash gags.
You do need a management consultant on the rental side as well with you, Gillian.
You just never know. So yeah, that is super exciting because I love the sunshine. If anybody knows me, they will know this. So the fact that we're now branching out to Portugal, we're also branching out to, other countries, Spain and different things, and looking to, raise awareness and on our products over there as well. So I'm super excited for that. Yep. That's got to be the icing on the cake so far. So yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, people flying out to Portugal, they must see the value in staging, because if they're obviously paying your traveling expenses and your fees to go out to Portugal, they must see, they will get that money back for their villa. So you said tired. people will scroll past online.
yes.
So whatever they're paid you, they're going to get a return on investment in that.
Yeah, his previous clients that have stayed within the villa have been stag parties and hen parties. He's now looking to raise the bar. He's looking to promote more for a wedding venue. It would be beautiful for a wedding venue, and also for business retreats and yoga retreats and things like that. And it's honestly, it's absolutely stunning. It's 9 beds, 7 baths,
nice
outdoor pool, indoor pool, cinema room. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm super excited about it, and it's going to be beautiful.
Good. Well, we will share some before and afters. I love before and after. I love floor plans. Just love seeing floor plans and stuff. But I love before and after pictures. So we will share this and put a link to this once that is all done. So if you're a very successful entrepreneur, you've been in property, doing various things. Staging's now your thing. I always like to include tips from every single guest for young entrepreneurs thinking about getting into business. But what's some tips for people making that jump from starting a business, or even a staging business, if you want to be specific? So we could do 2 things.
I think for me, I would definitely say take action. Surround yourself with like-minded people that can help you get where you are, people that are possibly where you want to be. Introduce yourself to them and be coached by them, whatever it may be. And you will get a lot of negative Nancy's, I call them. People have said, "Oh, Gillian, what you're doing, you don't have a clue what you're doing. I'm sorry, but these people are still sitting in their jobs," and that's cool. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But you just need to be really, really concentrate. Don't give up, because it is a difficult gig. I mean, it can be super stressful, and people that listen, it all looks great and all fancy Nancy on the social media. We're all just beautiful swans and paddling like hell underneath, let's be honest.
Definitely.
And you will have the bad days, but for me, I surround myself with amazing people that believe in me, people that will say, "Gillian, maybe no, do that and do that." Take the guidance, don't be afraid to receive some constructive criticism. Move your needle just that bit more. And as a very, very knowledgeable woman, Paula Wingate always says, if you improve yourself 1% every single day, then you'll improve yourself 365% every year. And
more than that, because the compound effect is amazing.
I'm more than happy to people reach out to me and say that I've inspired them, and honestly, that is the best thing ever. And that just really, makes me happy. So I'm more than happy to speak to MD.
Fantastic.
If MD reaches out to do whatever. I'm involved in property in loads of different areas. So happy to chat with MD, but just take action. Don't listen to the haters and just keep going, because at the end of the day, bang your own drum, make your own wages and live your own life. Don't live your life for somebody else.
Fantastic. And what do they call it? Tall poppy syndrome. I think Scotland's particularly bad in this. And you're right. I heard a great thing. You don't ever hear people more successful than you shooting you down. You don't hear millionaires and billionaires destroying people's dreams and being negative, because they're like, you go for it, you do it, and hey, you may fail, but try again. You only get told you can't do it from people who do it.
And I've said to a couple of people, what will you actually hate more? The fact you've tried and failed, or the fact that you've not tried at all?
Definitely.
And it's like, oh, what if? Not what if, just get it done.
Yep.
Just try. What's the worst thing that can happen? You need to try again. Fail. I'd rather try and fail than not try at all.
And then it's a paradigm shift. It's reprogramming your brain here. You make a great point. Remember, every tick, because we can get criticism, we get told you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, and here's all the risks, and you're stupid for even considering it, you should stay in safety. Remember that their advice to you is not based on you, it's based on them. They're giving you advice through their fear or their insecurities or their perceived inadequacies for not taking that chance, and how it really affects their self-worth. If you're going to go and do it and all your friends aren't and that your friends are in employment, they're giving you that advice, not to do with you. It's their own insecurities, and they hate you for that. And that's hard to get around.
You will lose people. You know, you change as a person, and we're all in this life, and we meet people, and then, you know, they pass on. You know, we end up. That's totally fine. Everybody's, you know, there to do their own thing, but when you're listening to negative in your head, it can be soul destroying. So you need to find people who will support you, and just give you a kick up the backside sometimes when you need it. Definitely. Or give you a cuddle when you're feeling sad, sorry for yourself.
I put up a LinkedIn post yesterday, and it was, you're the average of the 5 people. Was it Jim Rohn?
Yeah.
Average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And we had a chat before. What are you doing? Oh, I was in London. What were you doing in London? And I said the story. I was part of some internationalisation thing. I'm privileged enough that a Scottish person had been invited for a London programme with the Deputy Mayor of London. And I was with 109 businesses, 110 of us. And I said, I think I was the least successful in the room. And many years ago, that would have terrified me and maybe upset my self-esteem and worth, and I'm a loser and all these people are better. I would have been nervous. But now I'm buzzing about that, because imagine being in the room where you're the best of 100 odd people. You've nothing to learn. You've nothing to gain. Yes, you can give back, but being the least successful in that room means that there was 109 other people there to inspire me, which they did, to give me advice, which they did, for me to learn off, for me to mimic their actions, to get the traits, the success traits from them. So I left buzzing that I was, and now it's my aim to be the least successful in any room, in any Zoom conversation, in any social circle. But that would destroy people's self-worth a lot of the time. But if you change your mind on that, and you say,
mindset's everything, absolutely.
Yeah, is it better to be the worst person in a room of billionaires when you're only a millionaire, or is it better to be a millionaire when everybody else is a shelf stacker? Again, nothing against shelf stackers. And by the way, many entrepreneurs, when they start off, would be better off getting a job in Aldi, because that's, you put in sweat, effort, tears, long hours. But there's a tipping point. You say, don't give up, do it, don't give up. There was a tipping point where people say you'd make more money working in Aldi. I think for the first 10 years in business, I would have made more money working in a supermarket. But then there was a tipping point where we can actually build big businesses. You've got something that works independent. You build a team, it's got worth around it, whereas a job doesn't have any worth, because if you're off, you don't make money. Yeah,
I remember over the festive period, and there was one point I actually thought to myself, I'm quite envious of people with a job today, because they're just off for a couple of weeks. You know, they're going to get paid and everything's cool and they're switching off. And here I am rattling my brains, right, what's happening next? Where are we going now? You know, but then that's exactly where I want to be.
It would be hard to do that.
Yeah, it would be hard.
Cool. Well, listen, Gillian's given us some fantastic advice, a few massive nuggets at the end there that I think everybody should go back, rewind, write down, and implement in their life. Final things for questions, if there are any, but I want to finish. If you've liked what Gillian says and you would like to support her, and you know people that would need her services, I want every guest that comes on the Pillow Talk podcast. We don't take sponsors. We're all about helping individuals, small businesses and charities. Everybody rack their brains that is watching this. Reward Gillian for coming in and putting up with me for half an hour here. And I've pushed her to do the live today. So tell us who your ideal clients would be. If they're watching, who would you like to serve that you could add most value to?
Obviously, anyone that's going to be selling their property, an empty property, estate agents, home builders and property investors, you know, they're great with their flips. I love getting in when it's like the refurb and then you get all excited to do the end. Service accommodation providers, obviously yourselves, and even student accommodation. I quite fancy, you know, breaking into that as well, with the student accommodation. Not just in Scotland, but obviously we're now going for world domination. the
sunnier the better.
Yeah, the sunnier the better would be a good idea, yeah.
Cool. So you've said all those things, but you can do UK wide?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, anywhere at all. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I am going to, it's coming up to half an hour, and we've chatted. Thank you very much for your time. I've written down some nice notes there. I'm going to follow up with a few of the tips. Guys, thank you very much. If you're watching live, we will put all Gillian's details. If you're watching on the replay on any of the channels you see this, then all the details for Gillian will be there. And please reach out. And again, I always ask all guests to help experienced business people. You can sort yourself out and you can find that information. But if you are a young entrepreneur, male or female, hitting that pivotal time in life, and myself or Gillian can help you in any way, please reach out. And I always ask our guests that come on to offer some help to these young entrepreneurs that may be at a pivotal time in life, and how if we can change the trajectory of somebody's life with a bit of advice that you've seen today, that could be life-changing when you catch somebody. So it may not be you watching, but if you know anybody that's thinking of being a Gillian in the future, and then please put them in touch. Maybe we can change lives as well as just changing properties. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you very much, Gillian.
Thank you.